Well, hello there. I got this video idea from biglife.com. He has this same kind of video thing going on. I have this laptop here and it's overheating, so I'm going to change out the cooling paste and show you guys how to do it. I've got some cooling paste here. It's pretty simple, just Corsair. See if I can get it to focus. Yes. Alright, so what we will need is some cleaning alcohol, cooling paste of course. I have this screwdriver set. It's from Yifeng JM8127 series 55 in 1 interchangeable precise manual tool set professional hardware tools. So I already set this. It's removable, and I have the Phillips screw kind of thing already inside. So this is the laptop. It's HP Omen something, pretty decent one, and I'm going to show you how to replace the cooling paste, take it all apart and put it back together again. So first thing, let's turn the thing around and remove the screws. I have this handy little bucket right here we will use to keep all the screws in. That's one. I will probably skip to when I have removed all the screws and then show you the rest. Well, as you can see, all the screws are out. There are these shorter ones. They're from the front, and the longer ones are on the side and on the back, a total of 10. One thing I forgot to show was these handy little things. You can get them on like Alibaba or AliExpress or eBay for next to no money. This is also something I bought on AliExpress, I think, for maybe 10 euros, and these are like 10 cents or something. All the screws are out, but you cannot just lift this plate because there are little clicky things all around, and you need to gently make sure to get those loose. Now, I always use these plastic things. You can use a screwdriver, but you will damage the case. You just put it in between. You hear a little click, and it clicks loose. So we're gonna do the back side first, then the sides. You can just wiggle it in between and then, well, hope for the best, I guess. There it goes. So the back side and the front side are loose, the side is loose, and well, that was mainly the hardest part. Then the only thing is this little ridge here on the back. All right, so the back plate can come off. Now maybe it's also a good time to clean up there's a dirty hair, clean up the intake, like rosters, because it's a little bit dirty. But we clean this with just a, I don't know, small wipe or like a painting brush you can use to clean the rosters. Well, this is the inside of the laptop. So these are the cooling fans, this one and this one. This is where one component is. I think it's the CPU, maybe it's the GPU, but I think this is the GPU. Now we want to make sure that this battery is not connected while we're working on the laptop. So first I'm going to disconnect the battery, and there are 4 screws over here. We're gonna remove them, and for that I will use a separate cup so I know what's on the inside and what's on the outside. That's the screws, and we can just take out the battery like this. Now there is no power inside the laptop, and we cannot short anything very badly. I always like to push the power button once to get all the remaining power out of the system. Well, okay, so there are now the screws of the cooling pads, and we need to see how we need to disconnect them. I think if we unscrew this, let's make sure it's the same. No, it's a different size. So 1 second, I will get another cup. Alright, 2 cups because I noticed there are different screws here also. Of course, officially you need to use an anti-static device. I never used it. I even have a woolen vest, but I never had any problems with hardware and static ever before. So we need to take out these screws. It's the assembly of the cooling mechanism. Let's see if it moves. It does actually. I think this can move now. And let's see. We might want to take out this one. That's a different size again. So try to use the proper bit, because otherwise when you use a one that's too big or too small, you will destroy the inside of the screws, so you cannot unscrew or screw them again. Because I've taken out the screws on the back of the laptop very frequently because of upgrades and stuff, there are some that are pretty damaged, so there is like, yeah, they are a bit worn out. Try to minimize the possibility of that. Let's take this one off. Also, my bit is a little bit magnetic, so it's very easy. When you drop something, you can just pick it up again. I think that's all the screws. We are going to check if that's true, but first I'm going to disconnect these two vents. So we've taken out this screw, this screw, this screw, all these ones, and I'm going to disconnect the power for the cooling vents like this. I try to help with the screwdriver. Probably I should have used the plastic thing to not damage anything. And we're going to see if we can move this at all. Bear with me one second. Alright, I noticed this cable is inside the plastic housing of the cooler, so we need to get this loose and not damage anything. I will try to do that. Try never to pull too hard on the cable. Try to push out the connector itself. Then you have the least amount of probability that those cables inside get loose outside of the fitting. It's not moving, so I'm thinking there is still something that's not coming off. We might need to help it a little bit. Yes. So it's moving now. Let's see. What else could there be? It's connected inside the housing here. So we might need to help it a little bit on this side. Well, it's loose now. Seems there's something stuck here. Ah, we missed a screw. Inside of this housing there's another screw. I will take this out. The last one. Can we get it off now? Yes, we can. So, as you can see, this is the whole cooling assembly. This is the cooling paste. Well, it's not cooling paste anymore. It's quite hard. So we're going to clean this down. We're going to clean this down, and we're going to clean this down with the alcohol and some, I don't know how you call this in English, but cleaning things. Well, let's clean the cooler first. Get this out of the way and start the processing of cleaning this. Alright, I'm not going to remove these pads because they are fine. They're still mushy and they cool the surrounding components. But first I'm gonna gently scrape this. And let me get... there's a napkin right here. How convenient. I'm gonna get all the rough stuff. And now this is clean. Or not clean, but the big parts are gone. We're going to clean it with some alcohol. So I will just dip this inside and start cleaning the pads. I will just probably skip this cleaning process because it speaks for itself, and I will be back shortly. Well, it's kind of clean. I finished it off with just some alcohol on the cloth and a last wipe with dry cloth, or we call it keukenpapier in Dutch, but I don't know what the word is in English. It's just a regular kind of thing. Alright, so the cooler is clean. Later on we're going to remove these top sides, and we're going to clean the all the dust that has accumulated before these fins, because a lot of the times dust gets stuck in here. It will be pushed out, but after a time there will be like a layer of dust before the fins, so the air does not actually pass through the fins. Let's take the laptop, move this out of the way. We need to keep the alcohol close by because now we're going to clean the processor and the GPU. So this is essentially the same as we did before. We're just going to gently scrape the dried out stuff from the device. And try not to damage anything. Be really gently because there are all kinds of things here on the side and you don't want to damage anything because it won't work after that. This is all very dry. That's because after a while the cooling paste just wears out and it won't be conducting the heat anymore and your laptop will overheat. So when you get random crashes or you think your laptop is getting too hot, you can use this to essentially give your laptop a second life. This is actually the GPU and this is the CPU, I see, because this is the NVIDIA chip. So this must be the processor and this must be the graphical processor. Now we don't want to damage anything, so I'm being very gentle. Not to push anything out of its place. There's actually quite a lot of cooling paste surrounding the die itself. So we're going to try and remove this in between the little chips and see if we can replace that as well. I don't know actually if there needs to be cooling paste on side these little things, but because there was already, we're just gonna keep this like the way it is, or try and replace the paste. And not remove any of the little chips. Let's see how far we have come by just cleaning this a little bit. Well, the processor is pretty clean right now. The GPU is a little harder. But I think it's good enough. I don't want to damage any of the little chips that are inside this part, so I will not remove everything because there is no spacing between these little chips, and I cannot properly remove it. I think maybe with this side. Making some progress. But I don't want to damage it. Well, that did something. Let's see if I can get a little bit more off. That seemed to have worked a little bit. All right, this is how far we will go. Let's make sure it's all nice and dry. And there is no cooling paste on the die itself. So let's try and clean the cooler inside. We will see if we can remove these screws and then get the top plate off. These are again really tiny ones and also a different size, so I'm just gonna put them apart right there. Let's see if there's any movement. There is actually, but does it come off? How does this work? Does it come off this way? Yes, it does. So there is actually right here, there's some kind of sticky thing. It's probably for the ducting, so the air does not escape, but I can see inside and it's pretty dirty. So let's see if I can remove these without completely destroying the tape. All right, so that's one off. And as you can see, there's a lot of crap there. I will just remove it with a small cleaning brush kind of thing. So that's probably, look at it. That's why your cooling goes down over time, because no matter how clean you are, stuff will always accumulate on these spots, and it will prevent the proper like airflow outside of the cooling fan. So this is clean. The fans are pretty clean. I cannot really do anything about that, so I'm just gonna put this right back where it came from, like so. And we are going to try and attach this again. I think it was about right there. Actually, this is not completely necessary, but it does help with keeping the air from getting out from the sides. So we're going to put back those screws and then do the other side. Tight is tight, don't over tight it, because you will destroy these little screws and you will have a bad time. When it's tight, don't screw any further. All right, well, now we do the same thing on the other side. Remove the screws, flip it, remove the dirt, and reassemble. So there's another, no, there is actually not so many sticky things here. So what we're gonna do, just turn this around a little bit, get the clean one of this, and just scrape all the dirt from the fence. This one isn't so bad as the other one, but it's good to do it anyway. So we will also reassemble this. Get the screwdriver and put back the screws where they came from. It's not really aligned. Let's make sure it's aligned. Yes. Tight is tight. Very important. So before I'm going to make a complete mess of this table, I will put back this, because otherwise I'm certainly going to flip it over. Alright, so that's the cooling fans. The pads are clean, the fans are clean, the intakes are clean. All this mess I will throw on the ground and then vacuum it later. Alright, so this is clean. We also cleaned the motherboard. Now we are going to apply fresh thermal paste and put it all back together and see if it still turns on. That would be perfect. So let's apply the thermal paste. I have the Corsair TM30. This was just something I have lying around, so I will use this. If I can get it open, that is. Yeah. All right. Let's see, doctor. So we're just going to put a little bit of the cooling paste on top of the GPU. And a little bit on the CPU. I think actually this is almost empty. I think it's enough. So let's see if we can get a little bit more out. No, we cannot. They always say don't use too much, but it's also important to not use too little. It should be easier to push out, I think. That's gonna be enough. So we're going to close this up again. And well, there we have the cooling paste. It's not the most perfect. I didn't apply it perfectly, but it's good enough. I think it's good enough. So as you can see, one of the thermal pads sticks to this part and most of the other ones stick to this one. We're not going to touch it. We're going to just put this back inside and then everything should go on its place automatically. Let's see if we can get this in. We can probably get this in without too much hassle. All right. That seems to fit perfectly. So now we need to screw everything, all the screws back in. Make sure this is tight, so the compression helps to, you know, make sure that the cooling paste and the cooler is actually connected to each other. Try to not do what I just did. You don't want your screwdriver sticking into the motherboard because that could potentially damage anything, any components that it touches. Alright, that's two of the screws back in. I might skip a part to where I'm not infinitely screwing back in screws. On the other hand, I can let you enjoy the experience of me screwing in screws. So apparently I seem to have misplaced one of the screws because I am missing one. Computer disassembly is not really computer disassembly if you're not missing a screw. So let's see what I did wrong here. We need to put this back over there. We need to put this back over here. This goes right inside this hole. Yeah. And then we put this one back inside. So as you can see, I'm missing a screw right there. I hope I didn't lose it. Oh no. Well, let's use this time to reconnect the fans. Put back the power cable. Don't use a screwdriver for this. Use a plastic tool so you don't damage any components. So, power cable is back in. We need one more screw for this thing. We need 4 screws for the Let me just go look and find the missing screw. I'll be right back. I found the missing screw. It was behind. It fell outside the dish and it fell behind. So let's not try to fuck this up. I cannot say fuck probably on YouTube. Alright, so all the screws are back together. That's good. The cooling assembly is inside the laptop again. Now we are going to turn this around and reconnect the laptop battery. There must be a proper way to do this. Yes, there is. So this is connected back. I will put back the screws again. All right. So, some additional info. If you ever want to upgrade the memory of your laptop, these are the memory sticks. I have actually upgraded this laptop to 32 gigabytes. You can just take them out and click them down like so. This is a SATA SSD. You can just unplug this connector right there, get these 4 screws out, put another SATA SSD inside the laptop, and I have also upgraded this laptop with 2 4TB NVMe SSDs, so I have a total of 12TB SSD space, of which 8TB is NVMe and 4 is just SATA. You can place and remove the NVMe SSDs the same way you place and remove the RAM. So this is it back together. Everything is tight. I'm going to place back the back cover. What you want to do is just place it where it should be, gently push down until you hear the clicks. Check if it is tight everywhere. As you can see, there's a little gap here. Click it in and then it's closed. We're going to quickly put back the case screws. The long ones go in the back and the sides, and the short ones go in the front. I will skip this part and I will be back when all the screws are in. Alright, so the last screw back on its place. Let's get this out of the way. Last thing I want to do is clean the outside vent holes, because I did clean them, but there is still a little bit of dust residue. So just take a little bit of pureed alcohol and then wipe this down. You don't have to be gentle, just clean it. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. All right, now with the dry side, do the same. And if everything went according to plan, I will try to turn on the laptop with the battery connected. It does turn on, so that's nice. Let's see if the display still turns on. It does not appear to turn on. Well, that's just great, isn't it? Ah, it is. CMOS reset because I disconnected the battery. So it will turn on fine now, probably. We determined that the battery is working, so I'm going to connect the power adapter. Cooling fans are also working. I can feel air coming out. Oh, the suspense. There we have the logo. It's starting. Alright, that's how to replace the cooling paste and cleaning the cooling parts of your HP Omen laptop.